Hi, I'm Rich.
And I'm Jimmy.
And you're listening to
Rich and Jimmy watch a film.
Yes, you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a special episode for you tonight. It's not one that we would normally do as far as the episode's concerned, but we have been asked by a person who has made a film to have a watch. So here it is.
Yeah.
Jimmy, tell us all about it. And by all means, use your notes if you need.
Yeah, no, cheers, Rich. So tonight we're watching a short indie film from a London-based director named M.W. Daniels. The film's called Lizziehead. So we've never seen it. We've watched like little trailers and stuff online. So we're quite keen to get into this. And then also as well, what makes the episode extra special is that we're going to be joined at the end by Mr. Daniels himself for a chat about the film and other stuff that he's done.
So I've seen the trailer because when you sent me the message saying it's Martin, isn't it? Martin?
Yes,
Martin.
Yeah.
When Martin contacted us to say, do you fancy having a little review of my film? I was quite excited, so I jumped on and watched the trailer. And quite frankly, it looks like it could be the most British thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it looks definitely bonkers in some places. I'm really keen for it. Then I've sort of been watching a few of his other bits as well, other stuff he's done in the past. So it's going to be very interesting to see him sort of all the other stuff he's normally done has been horror. So it's going to be interesting to see the transition into comedy.
Well, maybe we should explain a little bit more about what Lizziehead. Have we even said that it's called Lizziehead yet?
Yeah.
Oh, we have. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to stay professional. So Lizziehead does look like it's about a girl called Lizzie Barnett. And I've got it right in front of me. I've just noticed your computer's on. I can read it. So Lizzie Barnett seeks her long-lost father and her mother holds all the information Lizzie wants, but her mother's past haunts Lizzie still and causes a divide between the two of them. Well, now that does sound quite generic, but I know from the trailer it is anything but generic.
Absolutely. And obviously as well with our post-film chat as well, we're not going to spoil anything with this because the film hasn't had any kind of sort of release like a wider release as far as I'm aware. It's been on the festival circuit and been killing it there. It's won a ton of awards at the minute.
Have you got a list of those awards, Jimmy?
I do, but it's too far away for me to reach.
Is it just there?
Yeah.
I think for the listener, for the sake of this, you've got to tell it somebody.
Yeah,
I'll pass it to you.
Pass me my notes, would you please, Rich?
Here we go. See, Jimmy's always super organised and takes my headphones off and makes lovely notes. So here he goes. He's going to read this, but he's going to try not to sound like he's reading.
Like just reading, just flat off a piece of paper. So not limited to, but it was a finalist at the Cannes World Film Festival, Best Comedy at the Best International Film Fest, Best Feature at the New York Monthly Film Festival, and the Best Short Film for the European Art Festival, amongst a host of others. So it's been doing very, very well.
So I noticed it's short film, so it's I think it's got a runtime of about 40 minutes, hasn't it?
Yeah, 38 minutes or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So again, that's going to be a bit tricky when we do the post-film discussion because we'll want to talk about it and sort of, good God, sorry, that was my front gate.
As I say, we like to stay professional here at Rich and Jimmy Towers.
Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that.
So we're not going to spoil anything. We can't say anything.
Well,
I suppose we can mention things that were on the trailers.
Yeah, exactly. We can do basic premise, but I mean, we can't go too deep, especially into stuff at the end, which is going to be tough because it is a short film. So it'll be an interesting one for us. So.
And saying you can't go too deep sounds like it should be very relevant to this this movie, which is quite sexual based. From what I gather.
Yeah, absolutely. From the trailer, man. That's definitely what I'm getting as well.
I'm not sure it seems like one my mum would like to sit down and watch with me. There was a scene in the trailer where she gets interrupted while she's trying to do a poo on a man.
It would be an uncomfortable one to watch with the folks, I think.
But thankfully it is done comedically. It is classed as a comedy. So and like this is why I think it might be one of the most British things I'm going to watch because it sounds like very, very British humour. Yeah. It sounds like lots of lovely naughty words and lots of crass jokes about willies and things. Yeah. But it also, from what I gather, is quite a classy storyline. It doesn't shy away from relationships and daddy issues. I hate saying daddy issues.
It's not.
It straight away conjures up images of like horrific things.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, like problems with fathers, mums, relationship. I'm so intrigued how he's going to fit all of this into 40 minutes.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to watching this, and as well as and then picking his brain as well about this, because I'm sure we're going to have a ton of things we're going to want to know about by the end of this.
Why, Martin?
Why? No, very excited for this, man.
Well, looking at some of the other things that we've watched on YouTube that he's made, he's obviously got a talent. And so I think this isn't going to be some ham-fisted, like, look at some tits and have a giggle at someone saying fuck to a priest,
No.
I think it's going to have a lot more class to it.
A lot of heart, yeah.
And also, it looks like it's been really well made. Like, the quality looks fantastic. So,
well, I mean, one of the ones we were watching earlier today, the House of... Oh, sorry, I've got it written down here. Where is it there? The House of Lexi. I was almost said the House of Lizzie then. Got it mixed up.
I nearly said Lizzo. That's so strange. Yeah.
I almost said the House of Lizzie there. The House of Lexi that we watched earlier. There was several scenes that were shot on the beach, and there was some great like overhead views and some really nice just like panning shots along the water, set with this great music that he also helps with writing and composing as well.
Oh, wow.
It's a very talented dude, and like the scene that it all set and everything was really gorgeous. And that's from 2019, I think, that one that he did. So it'd be really interesting, watching this as well and seeing the skills coming along. I'm really keen for it.
Well, in that one, I did notice a very nice... Oh, Jimmy, is your phone on again?
Sorry, yeah, it is.
I did notice a very nice...
Keep it professional.
Keep it professional. And just interrupt me while I'm trying to make a sentence. That's fine, Jimmy. Absolutely fine. We don't need to finish our sentences here. The drone shot on the beach. That was beautiful.
Yeah. That was so good.
So if you go onto YouTube and I guess just search for M.W. Daniels, is that how you found it?
Yeah.
Have a little look at some of the things that we're talking about, because they are worth a watch. What was the one about? You said it might be his brother in lockdown.
That was called October Loner.
October Loner. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's about a man who sees himself. Tormenting himself.
Well, and obviously very much about the isolation, everything. He's the guy's outside, and then he goes outside and looking for the doppelganger, but then he's back in the flat, calling him back in, and then he's on the screen almost like on a Zoom call. So
I mean, the guys are creative. There's no doubt about that. Like, out of those two things that we've seen, like, they're very, very creative and quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously we haven't seen Lizziehead, and unfortunately at the moment I think it's behind a wall, isn't it, on YouTube? So you have to have a certain password.
Something, exactly. It's protect. Like I say, I don't think it has had the release show. We'll have to speak to him about that, I guess, in the in the interview portion. We'll find out where people can watch it, when they can watch it, the plan for a release and everything like that. But I'm super keen for this, man. And as you say, like in terms of him having his talent, like there was definitely some stuff in House of Lexi. There was some shots like on the outside of the house on the street, and it was very like carpentry, like Halloween-esque, the angles and stuff. It was just, I was watching, I really got that vibe of like the way that the shot was composed. It was a very Halloween almost.
So you think he might be a bit of a horror head?
I know he is.
Oh, really?
I know that the man is. Yeah, from just like the slight little bit of research that I did today, listening to some interviews with him, he is a big horror fan.
Oh, well then we'll have to find out what made him go from slasher horror to shitting on old men. Okay. Well, let's watch it then.
I mean, let's not delay.
All right then. Press play, Jimmy.
Play, Rich.
Okay, so why pick me?
Well, you're good looking.
Ah.
And you seem funny in your profile.
Well, do you want to come back to mine then?
What? Already?
I'm not really like other girls. You can't come in here at the moment.
Why?
It's been decorated. It's a real mess. Proper fucking shithole.
Okay, so it says here you need to visualise your desired result upon orgasm. Do you think you can do that?
I actually love being a dominatrix.
She's so far up her own fucking arsehole, it's unbelievable. I did try to be nice.
I called Dad's number, and guess what? It's fucking discontinued. This is all just one big cover-up.
Contrary to what you might believe, I don't hate you at all, Elizabeth.
Look, love, I've been a right cunt in my life, you know? The things I've done. Is it coming?
Not yet, I'm trying.
I'm a fucking failure at everything. Relationships, not having a proper family. I can't even shit on a fucking client.
Thanks, Mum, that was lovely.
And we're back from watching that film.
Yes, here we are. We're back in the room.
Is it still a film if it's only 40 minutes?
Well, yeah, short film.
Short film.
Yeah.
Well, we're back from watching that short film. Thoughts, Jimmy? I'll throw straight to you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know really what to say. It's bonkers, man.
It was so bonkers.
It was absolutely bonkers. Like that, they crammed a lot into those 40 minutes.
The thing is, like, we obviously can't put out a massive episode on it because no one else will have seen it. And it would be us talking. But we could unpick that for a very long time because there was a lot of times when we looked at each other going, "What?" Because there was some mad moments in it. But it was very British. Like, as far as the humour, I think it'll be interesting when we chat to Martin later to see whether or not how he's viewed that across the pond. And
yeah, and there's definitely, like, you know, as you say, with it being like super British, there's definitely I would say an influence of, you know, say like Fleabag in there. You could see that I think very much. Like, there's some great stuff, you know, with just like the fantasies and daydreaming and stuff of the characters as it moves along. Like,
I wonder if it was whether it was connected to Fleabag at all, or whether it was before, or whether it was after.
Oh, it's after.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. This was, I think it was filmed in 2000 and I think it was 2022, and then it was released last August.
Right.
So August 2023.
I mean, it's definitely not like a rip-off because
no.
Very much, it's very old film.
It's very original. I mean, some of the scenes that it would just like move into, and you'd be thinking, "Fuck me!" Like, what are we doing at this point in time now? And then it would snap back after a few minutes, and you would realize, okay, that was a fantasy of the main character.
It did shoot along at quite a pace as well. So it was like, even though it was only short, it's an unbelievable amount of information to take on board.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel a little bit jaded from it, like, because some of the things that we saw, like there was a scene where she gets a nosebleed in a garden and then sneezes blood onto her cousin who's getting an erection because of the blood. Like, that's 10 seconds of a film, and the rest of it was madness.
It was. It really, really was.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to picking his brain.
So many questions.
To picking his brain about this.
It's a weird one though, because it was so. The premise of it is, spoiler alerts here, that this girl who is she a mistress, or is she just dreaming that she's a mistress, like a dominatrix?
No, I'm pretty sure she is. I'm quite certain she is.
So she, but she's also trying to find out who her dad is. And she's got a mum who is a mistress.
And she's like, because she's quite like fucked up, like emotionally. Like, she's like this dominatrix who, you know, does sex for work, but then is looking for deeper connections with people, but then is emotionally fucked up from like her mum who is a dominatrix and was looking for her dad. Like, I'm so
glad we're getting to speak to Martin after this, because I want to know how he came up with this idea.
Yeah, same. I'm very, very intrigued to get his takes on this.
We were chatting earlier about his background in horror and some of the things that he's done, and Jimmy's done a little bit of looking online at some interviews and stuff, and he obviously likes his horror. And then what is it that made him jump into? Well, we'll find out, because I think that'll be my first question. Like, what? But it was certainly an enjoyable little what.
Oh yeah, no. I had a lot of fun with it, man. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was nice once I sort of clued onto the whole thing of the daydreams of being like, I was playing a little bit of a game with myself of being like, okay, this is fucking mad now, but is this for real or is this not? Because it does, like, there are some bits that are fucking mad in it, but are for real.
Yeah.
So there's always that thing where you're double guessing yourself.
It was nice because, like, it just rolled into the next scene, and then those scenes that were daydreams could have been happening.
Yeah.
So you weren't ever, and then suddenly the rug's under your feet, and you're like, oh, what? That wasn't real. She, what? But there was one thing I'm really interested to find out, and I hope I remember to ask you. There was that weird transition, wasn't there? Where
the flashback transition that you've seen from so many 70s and 80s, like an old sitcom.
Yeah, it was, honestly, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I did enjoy it a lot, actually.
I think when you, I think when we throw to the interview with Martin, I think you definitely need to put that transition in.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do that now then? All right, so
here we go. We're going back to.
Hang on, is it what is it? It's Wayne's World where they do the
Yeah, like the flashback. Yeah.
So
we're gonna Wayne's World into the interview.
So here we go. We're going to go and interview Martin.
Right, so we're here with the writer, producer, and director of Lizziehead, M.W. Daniels. Martin, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really, really appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks so much.
Just quickly, man, would you like to just give people, you've been making short films now for a number of years, so would you like to just give people a bit of a quick background of some of the films that you've done?
Yeah, the early films, probably won't even bother speaking about, so we'll go from 2018. Yes, in 2018, I started in 2011. 2018, the film's got more professional scripts and professional sound and real actors, you know. So yeah, Being Without, House of Lexi, The Other Soul to Evie, and films like that, and it led up to Lizziehead.
Yeah, so I went through and was watching a few of your flicks. Like House of Lexi was one of them, and sort of like I did notice a lot of the stuff was sort of a bit more horror and sort of like psychological drama. So where do you take the turn then from that into a sex comedy about a dominatrix looking for love and like her daddy issues and stuff?
I mean, famously, horror movies should always go into daddy issues, shouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. It should, like Nightmare on Daddy Street. Like that, you know, it just doesn't sound right there. It's probably because loving comedy, and I think that, I mean, I'm unashamedly going to say this, and I was always going to keep it a secret, but when Fleabag came out, I was really inspired by it, and I was like, wow, this is like something new, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like genius. But I think before that, Ricky Gervais and The Office, the UK Office, not the American one, that inspired me. But so I suppose growing up with Blackadder, 40 Towers, Alan Partridge, but I think that The Office, UK, and Fleabag are the two things that ignited it for me, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, I mean, one thing that none of those things have is the line "cunt witch," which I think was one of mine and Rich's favourite parts of the film. I think when that line was read.
Since watching it, I have used it several times already.
Going to be in the Urban Dictionary. It's going to be
mate. If it ain't, it's got to be honest. Genuinely, one of the best pieces of dialogue I've ever heard.
I'll campaign for it.
Yeah, it works. It just works. Two words together. It works to dream. Really brilliant.
The other great one that we had written down as well was, what was it? So I got it written here: wanking off like a priest on school holidays. That was a fucking cracker as well. That's an absolute great.
Probably. I hope you're not religious, but like it's kind of true, I suppose, in that way. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. It's quite, you know, Lizziehead took 3 years to put together because I had to learn how to write this sort of stuff. I've not wrote comedy before, so all them lines kind of just come out.
Yeah.
At what point, Martin, when you were writing it, did you sit there and go, right, it's now ready to go? You've read it, you've written it again, you've read it again, and then you suddenly go, I'm ready.
Probably not that long before we filmed, maybe 6 months before, and it went for a lot of changes. And then because it's just like sculpted it through them 3 years, and then finally, it was ready. I think early 2022 it was ready to go. You know, and I knew it had all the elements, and sent it to Charlotte, and she was like, "This is great." So once she gave it her seal of approval, I knew that we had to do it. You know.
So that's what I was going to ask.
People that haven't had a chance to see it yet, Charlotte plays the main character in it. She is Lizzie. Charlotte Gould, I think her name is. She's fantastic. She's so good in it. Very funny.
That's actually what I was going to ask, is how whether there was a casting process or whether you had Charlotte Gould already in mind. But I mean, it sounds like you already had your mind made up there.
And a director, friend, Michael Fausti, she was in one of his films called Exit, and I saw the film, and I said to him, I'd like to work with her, and he said, he said, just message her, and I messaged her, told her about the Mine and Julianne, which is the first film she was in, and then we did that. Then we did the other sold to Evie with Charlotte again. So this is the third time I worked with her. So we're already worked together before a couple of times.
Yep.
So, but she really wanted to do this, and it was based around her because she's really funny. So she's funny off the camera. So I thought, I've got to write a comedy for Charlotte. I'm writing all this serious stuff. So that is as well where Lizziehead come from. It's the seed of it is Charlotte's personality and how kind of vibrant she is. You know, funny she is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she comes so naturally, like in the film. You know, like in terms of the character, it all seems so natural.
Yeah, no, totally. She is really, really funny. She's like a force of nature, you know. And there was no other person to play Lizzie but Charlotte. She had all them elements of that character, just like Phoebe Waller-Bridge played Fleabag. You couldn't imagine anybody else doing that. So she just fit it like a glove, you know, that character, definitely.
Yeah.
When you were writing it, did you find that you were listening to some of the lines in her voice, as in you kind of know how she would deliver it? So did you tailor it slightly for her? Because it does seem very natural when she's delivering the lines.
She's that good, an actress. So, I mean, you know, she's that good, but little bits and pieces, but not too much, you know, knowing her well, knowing how she speaks and throws lines around. Yeah, there was a little bit of that, but I was picking up stuff from other places, you know, from people I used to work with and people saying sort of words, and I was just like throwing that in and thinking, oh, this would work, you know. So it was almost like a compilation of different people saying different slang words and kind of swear words and different things. But Charlotte kind of, when I first started working with her, I knew she was really funny, but by the time we done Evie, I was just thinking, yeah, you know, this is the person to work with for a comedy. And I suppose I did base a few words off of the way she does things. Possibly. It's such a long time ago now. It's hard to remember. You know.
So you guys shot it all in 2022, was it?
2022, 2023, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then so you've had it out there like sort of on the festival circuit and everything, and you've been picking up a lot of awards as well for it, which has been fantastic to see. I mean, so how long have you been taking it around now on the festivals? Or how long?
Since September.
Nice.
And it's not that long. I'm going to keep it in there as long as possible, really, you know, and just see what can happen with it, and then go from there. You know, I don't want to take it out too soon and stream it because I could be, you know, more people could be kind of noticing it on the festival circuit. So you know, I just don't want to take it out too early. So maybe another year almost.
Nice.
Have you got plans for a future Lizzieheads, or adapting it slightly, or doing something new with it? Or do you think it's going to be something that you park and then move on to a new project?
It was a standalone. It kind of started as a pilot, and then, but as we finished it, it was kind of standalone. But now, I want to kind of make it a series. But before that, I mean, that's a bit ambitious, really, me doing that. But I think that before that, doing an episode 2, that's what I want to do next, and that won't be till late next year, you know.
And that will be in the same sort of vein as the previous one of something happening around Lizzie and how she deals with that situation.
Yeah, because there's so many openings in the first one that to use and go for. You know, it's unbelievable the amount of openings. So with that, I was like, you know, I'm kind of spoiled for choice, really. But I think it'll be darker, and I don't think there'll be as much swearing. That's the only 2 things I think so far I can muster up, though.
Less coverage.
I couldn't do that again. You know, the minute we do that again, people will be like, "Oh, they're just crossing the obvious territory again." Like that. You know.
I mean, you're saying that there is so many openings and places that you can go with it. I mean, me and Rich both said when we were watching it, just like in the 40-minute runtime, like you covered a lot of ground. There is a hell of a lot of stuff in that film.
There's a lot of
some amazing scenes.
Openings within openings as well. So there's a lot of that stuff in there. So, you know, a door opens, but there's somewhere in there's another door that's ready to open and another storyline going on. So there's a lot of underlying storylines as well as the main ones going on, which I could sort of explore, you know. And I plan to do it maybe in July, August, and start writing it for the first time. I've got a few scenes down, but that's about it, you know. It's early days, really.
No, that's exciting.
Do you think you'll Do you think you'll ever return to horror?
Yeah, we're doing a horror film in October, November, so that's all cast and done and ready to go. Yeah,
Fantastic.
So that's a return to that. But Lizziehead gets called a horror con, which I've never really understood. Maybe because of a couple of scenes in it. But yeah, the next Lizziehead will possibly have some horror in it. Possibly, I don't know. There'll be something like that, other than being what's there in the pilot.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I guess. You kind of touch on some dark concepts in the respect of like emotionally dark. So I don't think it would be much of a reach to sort of flesh them out a bit. And I could see I could see how you could bring it into the horror genre a little bit more.
Could do, yeah.
Definitely.
And beyond that, it could. I don't think it's going to science fiction. Be a bit like ludicrous. But I think that most other places it could go into and be accepted, and the authenticity of those genres. But apart from science fiction, I just don't think it can go there. For some reason,
Lizzie in space.
Yeah.
How would that work? Just how would it work? But
well, maybe for number 10, like Friday the 13th, like Jason Goes Space. Maybe leave it for then, the 10th installment.
Yeah, Poor Things did it, and Black Mirror did it, so a few things did it, but it's still a bit absurd, It's like
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Yeah, like Lizzie is like Lieutenant Uhura, I don't know, but I just don't think it could go anywhere, like that sort of place. But I'll keep it where it is for the moment and just see how it progresses. It's as I said, the organic thing, isn't it? How it opens up, how it progresses. So. It might just look at me with a piece of paper and laugh at me, and I'll just walk away and do something else. So I just never know, I just never know.
No, absolutely. And so the plan, though, is for the moment with Lizziehead, another 12 months or so with the festivals, and then you're looking for streaming then, or to get it available?
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
thinking
public?
streaming. Yeah, I'm thinking streaming. Maybe just as we do the second one. That's kind of a rough plan anyway at the moment.
Yeah, nice.
And then just see how it goes on the soundtrack. The soundtrack comes out in June, so that's really good. So it's so a lot of the music that wasn't on the film, never made it on the film, is on there. The music that's inspired by the film is on there. So it's kind of there's stuff on the film that's not on the soundtrack. It's a bit confusing, but it's good that that's out. Coming out. I'm really happy about that. Finally,
Yeah,
this is where you get the soundtrack out with independent films and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's nice, it's really nice to do something like that.
There was something I saw in a previous interview you did a few years ago, where you mentioned about that you sort of found it a bit funny going to festivals, sort of starting to make films and then attending award ceremonies and festivals and stuff. And I just wanted to sort of check years later, is that still the case? And especially with Lizziehead now getting so many awards and everything, like so much recognition, do you still find it a bit strange?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got to that stage with Lizziehead yet, but it's strange because being without, we was at a kind of gala, in the West End on the red carpet at the Gold Movie Awards. So that we haven't been since. So that was January 2019. But hopefully Lizziehead will get to that stage. I mean, it'll be amazing, really. I think everybody team will be really happy about that. I mean, we haven't celebrated it yet. Charlotte keeps talking about we should go out for a drink, all of us, because we haven't all got together and celebrated the wins yet. So that's something we need to do. But I kind of, once you've been to one of those film festivals, I think you kind of, the next one's not too bad. And it's surreal at first, though. It's a bit odd at first.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, but I suppose you just get used to it, I suppose, like anything else, but the red carpet, I suppose they'd love all that stuff. I'm sure Charlotte would love all that, and hiding somewhere, not being on camera, sort of thing. But who knows? I mean, you just never know where it's going to go. I didn't think anybody was going to accept Lizziehead, and it won some awards. So there you go. What's next? And you just don't know what's around the corner with film, I suppose.
And is there anything that you can, so the horror film that you're working on, anything that you can give us a little bit of a tease to that? Any details you can share?
It's upsetting. I can say that.
Fantastic.
It's upsetting. It's quite full on, really. it's about mental health and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of full-on stuff in it, you know. We actually do the first rehearsal for it tomorrow, funnily enough. So tomorrow morning we go in and start rehearsing. So yeah, it's a challenge. But like every film you do, the next one's going to be a challenge more than the last one. This is more of a challenge than Lizziehead. It's shorter, as in shorter time filming it, but it's more of a challenge to do it. So, but yeah, it's upsetting. That's all I can say.
Okay, well, I'll be keeping an eye out for that for sure. Yeah. And if people want to sort of keep up with you and your films and that, where's the best place to do that? On Instagram?
Yeah, there's MW Daniels Films, which I post up stills and stuff like that and bits and pieces. So that's about the only place at the moment. You know, I should get a kind of page, but I'll get around to that. I hope so anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the Instagram and everything works so well anyway. You know?
It works well, yeah. I mean, you know, you found you guys. There you go. I mean,
yeah, yeah, absolutely, really? Man. I mean, I think that's pretty much from me, unless Rich has anything else.
Sorry.
As well. No, you're right.
I just had a little visitor.
Bless her.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say thank you, Martin, for giving us the time again. I think it's
appreciate it.
It's been a really nice experience, like actually chatting to someone who's done it. Like we spend a lot of time talking about films from the point of view of viewership, but it's quite nice to have a little insight into someone who's had an idea, got it down on paper, and then actually gone through with it, and not only gone through with it, but gone through with it with such success. So thank you so much for giving us your time.
No, thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me be interviewed. Yeah, it's great, you know.
No, mate, we've loved it. It's been really good. And we've got an interview coming up as well with Charlotte too, so we're looking forward to that.
She's great. You know, she's much more fun than me. So you know.
Yeah, you're boring.
yeah, I am boring. I admit it. She's complete antithesis. She'd just be like running around the room, and she's just complete. Yeah, man. You know, once you speak to her, you'll know straight away the Lizziehead thing. You know, she's very infectious. But yeah, me compared to Charlotte, complete antithesis. I'm complete boring bastard, and she's the kind of light of everything, you know. So I admit that much.
So we're here with the star of Lizziehead, Charlotte Gould. Charlotte, thank you so much for jumping on to sit down and chat with us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
No worries. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Excellent. So we both watched. We both finished watching Lizziehead, and I mean, my first question right off the bat is like, what originally attracted you to the film when Martin came to you with the idea?
What a question. After knowing you've seen it. I think what initially attracted me to it was because I'd worked with Martin before, and we have such a good working relationship. Also, I'd done a film with Renee and Tom, and it was really just kind of the atmosphere, I guess. And then I read the script and I was like, oh wow. But it scared me a little bit. I was a bit intimidated by it, and then I was like, actually, this feels like somewhat of a challenge. So I feel like these are the types of roles that I would want anyway, like challenging, crazy ones instead of just, you know, the normal girl next door stuff. So yeah, I think it was all a bit of like a, yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, let's do it. I didn't put too much thought behind it, but I was just excited to work with Martin again. And yeah, I remember him saying I kind of wrote the part with you in mind, and then I got to the end of the film. I was like, "Is that an insult? Is that good? This girl's insane."
So you mentioned that you previously had some other roles. What sort of roles were they? And in what?
Calm. And no, they were lovely. All of Martin's work's amazing, and it's weird and crazy and cool and just very imaginative. And yeah, they've been really varied. I've always been slightly gay. So that's been kind of cool. That seems like a really big theme on my part. Yeah,
it's subtle.
The last one I was playing Renee's girlfriend and also Tom. So I'm always seeming to be in a love triangle with the two of them for whatever reason. So we're all very chill with each other now, naturally, very close friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely nothing like Lizzie at all. Very just normal, standard, running a mill people.
Well, how much how much did you sort of bring to that role of Lizzie? Like, from Martin's script, did you bring a lot in terms of the physicality and personality and stuff? Because
I think so. I remember speaking to him, and he was like, "I'm happy for you to just do it, and then we'll do a few takes. We did a script read, obviously, on the day. We just sat down, and there was a couple of parts. I remember when we filmed the first bit, which just seems like so long ago now. And I remember there's like one scene really early on where like I say something rude to Tom, and I like behind his back, and I did it, and I was like, oh man, that was really childish and probably stupid. And Martin was like, no, I loved it, like keep it in. And then from that moment, he was like, keep doing that, and like keep what you think you're doing is too much and maybe a bit like immature, like that's keep going with it. So the physicality, I think, like was just a bit off the bat, but I definitely knew that we could push her to be really over the top. Like she is the whole script's over the top. If you play her like calm down, it's not going to work. So I think I kind of went for it and then was like, oh, is that really cringe? And then he was like, nah, it works. Like keep going.
Have your have like friends and family seen the film, or is it still behind like a hidden wall for them?
Not too many have seen this one. I hate watching myself anyway. But I don't think they have actually. Not for not wanting to show them, but obviously that is quite a in your face film. It's not one I'll probably show my nan, but that's no slight on Martin. I love his work. I love the film. But I haven't had any, unfortunately, I haven't had any personal responses to it yet. But I think when Martin's got like a full release date and it's like out there for everyone to see, then I'll start getting some feedback. I've had a lot of people ask to watch it, like for colleagues. That's I'm not sure I'll send it to them, but from like posting, because it's done so well on the festival circuit. I'll post like on Instagram, like it's won another award, like I'm so happy, and I'll get messages like, where can I see it? And I'm like, I actually don't know. No one I know has seen it yet, other than myself and Renee and Tom, obviously.
I mean, that must be such a fantastic feeling as well, having like those accolades just keep coming through as well. Like,
it's honestly amazing. They just kept coming through, and Martin would message me and he also messages me each review, which is so sweet because that takes a lot of time and effort, and also like they're not always glowing. Some of them are like, oh, we didn't feel they could have done better with this, so and so could have done better with that, but he'll send them regardless. He'll be like, oh, we got another review, and it's just always so hyped up, and it's so nice to like have that momentum go, because we started filming this like almost 2 years ago. So like when you think about how long that project's been around us and like in our lives, it's quite a long time. But I'm really, really happy. I'm happy for Martin. I'm happy for Nikolai, the DOP, because like they just work magic together. And I think I'm glad they've got so many awards for this film, because it was like a big punch. And I'm happy they get the respect they deserve.
One thing that we mentioned to Martin was the fact that he packed in so much into such a small amount of time.
Boy, didn't we?
Did you find it sort of exhausting emotionally trying to keep up with what was going on? Or
I did physically get really ill at the last. We filmed it in, I don't know if Martin said, we filmed it in 2 chunks. And they were both incredibly squashed, full on days of filming. Nikolai had this awful cough and cold throughout filming, and then the day we wrapped, like the next day, I was like, I'm done, which was lucky. But I remember being like talking to a friend, and I was like, I just found it really tiring, and then I worked out like I'm in every scene, so like it was tiring. I think when you're doing it, it's one of those things, like when the day before you're like, oh my God, and it's really daunting, and the days after you're like recovering. But while you're actually in it, it's like being in the eye of the storm. You're just going. And Denise Yardi, who did the sound, who has done a couple of Martin's films before that I had done, and obviously Nikolai, they're just like, they're like troopers. They just bash it out before I'm sort of getting myself into the next bit. They've already set the camera up, and they're like, right, come on, and you
coffee and Red Bull.
So much like sweets and snacks between set. But it's tiring. I think everyone felt it sort of if we were doing it for 3 days, by the end of the second day we were like, right, let's all just go straight to bed, and then tomorrow we'll do like one last kick. Yeah,
it really is, like you say, that eye of the storm. And when you do get to the end of it, as you say, on that, as soon as the day after you wrapped, you fell ill, it is that thing, I think, of your body, like, and your body's like, yeah, bang, can relax now, and everything sets
honestly in. It literally was like, oh cool, we finished, let's die. Like, it was like, cool, we're done.
Exactly.
Like, knock her off. But yeah, I met, like, actually during it there was no time, like we just had to keep going. Like, once one scene was done, the next one was being set up, and it was like, grab some water, grab something to eat, but we need you back on set in 2. And I was like, might as well just stay here then.
Yeah.
Had a Kit Kat.
So what's next on the horizon for you, Charlotte? You mentioned your colleagues. So do you act as a profession, or is it a hobby?
I do try to. Colleagues for that is a different job, a very different job. It's for a big pharmaceutical company doing admin, which rock and roll. But that is paying my bills, so I mustn't be too rude. But yeah, no, nothing really performance wise on the horizon. It's a bit dry, I guess you could say. I've had chats with like other friends that are acting, and it's just, yeah, a bit quiet. I have another film that's due to come out soon, but I don't know, I feel like at the moment, we can always say it when you're like acting or in a creative job, when the work depends on people choosing you, not you choosing it. It's always so like unreliable. But yeah, if I got to do it full time, I wouldn't stop.
Is that the dream for you? Is it then to break into the acting circuit?
Yeah,
and would it
definitely.
be films or theatre or?
I've always found myself gravitating towards films, and I love, you know how some people like love the vibe of being in the theatre and on the stage and all that kind of the atmosphere around it. I've never been drawn to that. I did used to do it when I was younger, which might be why I don't enjoy it so much now. I've always gravitated towards like the feeling of being on set and the atmosphere and the buzz and the changing around and, you know, locations. And yeah, I've been really fortunate. I've done like several independent films. One I did in Norway, out in Norway, which was, I've just had lots of really, really cool opportunities. So although it's quiet for me now, I've been very, very lucky with the work I've had. And they've always been, yeah, like indie films, which has meant there's a lot of care in them and there's a lot of like passion. They might not be mad budgets, but the creativity in them is so inspiring. Like the writing as well is amazing. And you've just got to have I have so much respect for it, because I love working with that. You're working with someone that's like made this baby and they're kind of trusting it to you. And it's like, I don't know, I can't speak to it because I haven't done it, but I don't know if these larger scale films with bigger budgets, you might lose a touch of that. But it certainly feels when it's an indie film, everyone's so grateful to have scraped it together to make it, that everyone's really appreciative on set and everyone's really like, you've got a common goal, I guess.
Yeah. You can definitely tell when they have a soul and when films don't have a soul and they're just 100%. Like knocked out for the sake of it.
Oh, for sure. And when the actors aren't really as interested as in the part as they are, or they haven't been allowed to be as invested in it as you are. Yeah. I mean, can't blame them. It's expensive being a person, but
we all like money,
don't we? But I think you can.
Sorry, Charlotte.
I think you can tell when someone's like, it's someone's passion project that's made it out there. It's really remarkable to watch, whether you like it or not, whether like you think the film's any good. You can still always tell when it's been like, someone really cared when they wrote that.
yeah definitely. And like to like create anything from nothing is amazing, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter the scale of it or anything, like.
Absolutely.
And so during like the shooting of Lizziehead, do you have any like favorite memories of any of the scenes? Like, is there anyone
Definitely
that's really
one comes to mind, which is probably the most rude, but it just makes me crease. I still have all the pictures on my phone as well. On the last day of filming, the very last day, and it was the day we were wrapping as well, so everyone was probably a bit like exhausted but also a bit giddy, because we were like, oh my god, we're gonna finish this thing, like it's happening. And it was a night shoot. I think we wrapped quite late because the last scene we did was dark, and I think we were sort of having a break midday, and we had a sound guy that wasn't on it for the rest of the film. He was just for this one day, and he was so sweet and so innocent, just so unassuming, had no idea for the chaos and the type of film he was walking into. And there's one scene with like a strap on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember just like not seeing one before. So I like put it on, and there's a picture of me just having a conversation with the sound guy, and he's like, "What are you wearing?"
Is that in the scene with the satanic rituals?
No, it's not. That's a different one.
That was an amazing set.
It's very circular, isn't it? This film, all roads lead back to like a dildo or something.
That should be on the poster. All roads lead back to a dildo. Lead back.
It's the mother-in-law, isn't it?
It is that one. And actually, I had no idea how that scene was going to look, because initially that was going to be shot so differently. And then I think either Martin saw the look on my face and was like, "We've pushed her far enough." But we adapted it on the day to be her POV.
Yep. Right.
So initially it was meant to be, I don't know if I'm giving too much away. Sorry, Martin. Initially it was meant to be like you, the audience, looking at us, and then they changed it and they were like, maybe that is too full on, or that's too on the nose, or like maybe it's funnier if you don't see it.
Yeah.
Which I thought worked really well, because it was to have like her POV, and like that was just wild and crazy. And also it was Lizzie's imagination, so it's kind of like she wouldn't be looking at herself, she would probably be picturing the POV.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of that, there was just this strap on lying around, and I was just sending pictures of me wearing it to all my friends. It was just really fun. I had a great time that day.
Destroying the innocence of the poor young guy on the sound.
He was so nice as well. I was like, "Do you mind not putting that on social media?" I was like, "Yeah, that's fine."
So you watched it back, obviously, when it was made, and I mean, it's very clear that you threw everything at the character. So watching it back, did it feel almost like a slightly out of body experience, where like, do you have a fondness for that character?
I actually do now. While I was filming, I don't think I did. I think I was like, she's so separate. I need to like work out how to do it. And I think because it was so different and so wacky, I kind of like, disassociated, I guess, while we were filming, which I think I've done with a lot of parts anyway. But yeah, watching it back, I'm quite like, oh, she's so mental. That was so fun. It was, I think, also the feeling of like completely letting rip. Like you couldn't be nervous and a bit cautious to do that. Like we really just had to like, I was most horrified or worried to do the scene. I don't know how to put this without giving everything away, but like the end scene with like the client.
Yeah.
We talked about it with Martin.
That one, I was so
where you couldn't go.
Like,
yeah.
You don't have to be squatting over that guy, which I think everyone forgot about just before. And then they were like, "Yeah, so Sean, if you just lie down there and Charlotte just squat over him," I was like, "Sick, can't wait." So uncomfortable, but it was also like, this scene is ridiculous and it needs to look ridiculous, therefore it's going to feel ridiculous. But I do, after watching it, I was like, oh wow, like look at her little journey and look at her friends and look at like her being a real person. It made it feel like, yeah, and because it was quite a while since we wrapped, and especially the first stuff, you know, I'd felt quite recent to the end of the film, but the beginning of the film felt like such a long time ago for me. So yeah, it was, I definitely, and just how well it's done. Like you can't help but be like, oh, well done.
Yeah. I mean,
so one thing. Oh, sorry, you go, Jim.
No. All I was going to say was,
I've never called you Jim before in my life, but it says Jim Long
Jim on the
your
screen.
Rich and Jim do a film.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring.
I don't think I've got anything written on mine. I can't see it.
Yours says Rich, not Jimmy, which is
well, there you
very
go.
helpful, actually.
I think you did that the other week. Martin. No, all I was going to say was like, just sort of echoing your sentiments there about, you know, letting rip and really going for it in the film, and it really comes across in the way of like that fearlessness of Lizzie, and then also as well you saying that you've worked before with the other actors in the film as well. That comes across like it's very natural. You know what I mean? Like that really comes across.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
One thing that we did comment on, which we loved very much, was some of the phrases that we used. My personal favourite, I think we've established, was "cunt witch." That was a genius one. Wow, what was the other one?
The other one,
the
sorry, I got it
priest.
written here.
Wanking like a priest
on school holidays.
On school holiday. Oh, bro. Some of these things to say were like, I honestly was like, to Martin, I was like, I don't even know if I'm giving them enough. Like, I'm doing them justice. And he was like, nah, just say it. But yeah, it was filthy language.
Oh yeah,
it was. I mean, it was brilliant.
We established with Martin, you know, that like cunt, which is probably the best piece of dialogue I've ever heard said, like ever heard performed.
My poor mum. Do you know the woman that plays my mum is so great in real life? She was honestly like, I hated being so horrible to her. She was so cool. Like, she was so fun as well, and like her scenes as well. Like, they were wild. So she's a real trooper as well. So yeah, calling her a cunt witch was a challenge.
It was. I mean, was there anything that you kind of, and you don't have to say what, but was there anything where you went, oh no, because it does seem like everything was thrown at you and you did everything.
Yeah.
But was there a time when you went, oh no, I can't do
Honestly, probably the last scene with the client. There was a small part of me that was like, oh, I actually don't want to do this. And then before you know it, you're on set and it's the next scene. And I didn't want to let anyone down. No, I think if I was really like, I actually don't want to do that, I would have said to Martin. I have to say I was probably relieved when they changed the shot with the mother-in-law to the POV. I kind of was a bit like, okay, that's one less thing to like ramp myself up for. But the only thing that I think when reading the script before we even started filming was like, it was probably that scene with the client, because I was like, oh, that really is grim.
Did you? Sorry. Did was there like in big films they have intimacy officers, like someone whose job is to make sure everyone is comfortable?
Coordinators.
We
didn't know we didn't. I mean, Martin was very like sweet and would always check what we were comfortable with, and the woman that played my mum in the film was also on set on the day she wasn't in scenes. So there was always like women around. Renee was there. I was very familiar with, and it was a very, very like on these days, very like small, just necessary crew.
Yeah.
So sound, camera, and I'd worked with them all before. Like, it was kind of, I don't know, at that point really comfortable. But I have no doubt if at any point I turned around to Martin and was like, bro, this is I'm not comfortable with this. This is too much. He would have been like completely professional about it. But I think, yeah, it was. I've been on sets where they have been there, and it's brilliant. Like, I think it's definitely a brilliant addition to the industry, and it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to make a lot of people feel more comfortable. I've also worked most of the time before they were a thing, or like before that role was really applied to a lot of sets, and in some cases can definitely say it was needed. Not with Martin's films, but in others, I don't know if it's talked about and discussed before, prior to, and they give you the option, or they say we don't have an intimacy coordinator, unfortunately, but what can we do to make these scenes more comfortable, or who can we get rid of, or who can we bring in to make this easier or more comfortable or more professional for both of you. And like 80% of the time everyone does a really good job, and you can tell everyone's being very delicate about those scenes. I think it would have been harder if the scenes were, and I think it is more challenging if the scenes are like passionate. I was kind of talking to someone about this recently. All the ones in Lizziehead, the ones that are, like, the intimate scenes are all quite. First of all, it's a comedy, so they're not there to like look sexy. They're there to kind of end up in tragedy and be really funny. So I think that also was weirdly changed the dynamic of filming them, because you're not there for the intimacy, you're there for the comedy hit. So really, that's what the cameras are trying to get. Yeah.
You're not trying to fake something intimate, you're just doing it for a laugh kind of thing.
Exactly. And like the focal point of the scene is comedy. So the cameras are waiting for, they're ready for that. They want to get that shot. They don't want any of the other stuff, really. That just is kind of the setting. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's I haven't really got many more questions. I think you've absolutely answered. You're proud of it, are you, Charlotte? You're proud when you watch it back?
I do. I hate watching myself, but I struggled through it because I was like, I've got to see it. I couldn't have, after all that. And I loved it. I loved the beginning. I loved the title sequence, like the entrance into the film. I loved all of that. And honestly, I'd forgotten so much. I don't know if I just have ADHD, I'm not sure. But when I was watching, I was like, oh shit, have we filmed that? And also there were some things I didn't see. They filmed off site when I wasn't there. So I was like, oh yeah, the bit with like Kimberly and this. Oh yeah, I remember that now. So yeah, it was really cool. I do feel like I need to sit down and watch it again properly. I've said to Martin, like, I really want to get everyone together and do like a viewing or sorry. My bad. Ignore that. At like a premiere of some sort, or just everyone to get together and do a screening, because yeah, it's so cool. And it would be nice to have like a final one last hurrah to Lizzie.
Yeah. Well, when you say one last hurrah, I don't know if when we chatted to Martin, he mentioned. Well, it's going to go out in the podcast.
Well, that's true. Like, actually, yeah.
I've heard rumblings of
Lizzie 2 Boogaloo.
If that's the name, I'll do it. Like, if that's what we call it. If he calls it something else, I'm like, nah, I'm not playing. Sorry.
Would you go back? Would you bring Lizzie back?
I would have to. I can't not. It's like the mafia. I can't get out. Like, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna be this bloody woman is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. I'm gonna become her. No, I would do it. I would definitely do it. I get to hang out with all my friends again.
Exactly. Yeah. Just swear and say all.
Just do it for a laugh.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Charlotte. It's been a really lovely insight. We thoroughly enjoyed the film. We thought it was very funny. And whenever it does come out or get released, I'm sure it will be enjoyed by lots and lots of people. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want to plug quickly before we end?
I wish there was. No, thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to talk about it and just chat about how great it is. I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
any producers and directors out there listening or watching as well? You know, Charlotte's available.
Looking for work.
Get in touch.
And she can swear. She likes swearing.
She can really swear like a sailor.
Brilliant. All right then. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte.
Guys.
No, thank you. Genuinely, thank you.
Such twats. So there we go. We've just had a lovely chat with Martin.
Yeah. What an absolute legend, man. Absolute legend.
It's really interesting seeing like just how he thought up some of that stuff.
Yeah, seriously. But also as well, it's quite inspiring just in terms of what you can do with like a group, just a small group of like dedicated people.
Yeah.
Like it's a real testament to that as well. Like it's super cool. Like, you know, we say it with like about our show all the time, how we like stoked we are with just doing this little thing, and the success that he's seen with that for a small group of friends who he trusts and everything that's really cool. It's really inspiring.
We'll be winning awards for this podcast in the near future.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for our interviewing skills.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good.
We're very good at doing words. Right. So anyway, that was a nice little treat.
That was a nice change up. So obviously again, big thank you to MW Daniels.
You really struggle with the MW.
I do because I think that's well, I want to say Martin Daniels, but I think he goes by like as a stage name as MW Daniels. So I want to try and do it properly. It is a sick name, but it throws me. So again, a big thanks to MW Daniels and all the guys who worked on Lizziehead getting that over to us. That was a real little treat for us.
My only regret is that you can't watch this film yet. Like we've had a little sneaky peek behind the curtain, but you might have to wait a little while before it becomes on streaming services, etc. As you would have heard from what Martin was saying.
So give him a follow and keep your eye out for it, because it's worth a look. It's a good one to watch, like with a group of friends. I think
if nothing else, get on there and watch the trailer, because it shows you some fun stuff on there. But also get onto his Instagram, MW Daniels Films. I think there's an underscore in there somewhere.
And we'll be putting it all in the episode description and everything like that, so you can find him there.
There is obviously at the end of every episode we mention our favourite quote. There is only one, and it's a scene where Lizzie is talking to her mum and she calls her a
cunt witch, which is one of the best pieces of dialogue I've ever heard spoken.
Cunt witch.
It's so fucking amazing.
So as always, thank you so much for listening to our tiny little podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been very special for us. Jimmy, would you like to run through the Instagram?
All the different things, yeah, man. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube now. The YouTube channel kicking along nicely. Make sure you go over there and subscribe as well. All of those are at Rich and Jimmy, all lowercase, one word, very simple. If you want to drop us an email, it's richandjimmywatchafilm@gmail.com. We've already been getting some really cool requests from some of the listeners, which has been great. And we're starting to put together like a little list, and we're going to start doing a monthly draw for suggestions from people, and you'll get a full shout out and everything in the episode. So if you want a film that you really like for us to do it and potentially shit all over it or really love it, one or the other, then
shit all over
shit all over it.
Watch Lizziehead.
Yeah, if you want that from us, we can definitely do it. Give us a shout. We'll put it in the drawer and do it sort of probably once a month or something. And then we've got a little plan for May coming up that we'll be announcing shortly. A little special something there for the month.
But I think for now you're just going to have to put up with the last of the 2 lost recordings.
Yep. Is it 3?
No, there's 2 left. You're getting confused because I'm trying to do this in a way that is this is going to come out.
No, I got you. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm with you now. Yeah.
So, just for Jimmy's sake, this has been recorded before we put the last one out.
Yep.
Which is going to be... Do you want to pick it, Jimmy?
Is it going to be 2012?
Yes. So it's going to be Jaws.
It's going to be Jaws, is it? I don't know, man. You've got that creative brain, man. You've got that beautiful chaos in your head where you're like, we're going to do this, then there's this. I just can't keep up with you.
Okay, so at this point, Jaws should have been out, which means the next one will be either 2012 or Midsummer. Which one would you like it to be, Jimmy?
2012. Let's
2012.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2012 will be dropping very soon.
Beautiful.
Closely followed by Midsummer, and then we've got our ReMAYke. So May is just going to be a month of us watching remakes.
Yeah.
See, he's done a very clever thing.
And it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? ReMAYke month.
Well, you could just say
so
remake,
good
because it's still.
Nah, you got to make it. Nah, you got to put the emphasis on the May.
Anyway, I'm bored. Go away now, Jimmy. Learn how to talk properly.
You cunt witch.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.